Okay, so this is an old project revisited. I did this, I think about 7 or 8 years ago. I did a video on this, but unfortunately, I don't know why, my older videos don't seem to get a look in these days. So I thought I'd just do this one again. Now it's coming up towards Christmas. I'm going to make a few of these and put on the Etsy shop. What we're making is what I like to call like wee Willy Winky candle holders out of horseshoes and a bit of 1.2mm sheet. The first job is to make some dishes like this. That's 6-inch circle of 1.2mm. I'm going to put it under the fly press and show you how I do them. Oh, I'm sorry it's a bit dark over here. What I've got is a couple of big flanges. These were, I don't know where they came from, but these were screw-on flanges rather than your traditional weld-on. And if you can see there, the thread in there. I've got 2 of these, and this one, it's been turned down. It was about 1/2 inch deeper. I've turned that down so that there's just about, I don't know, probably a 1/16, maybe a 32 sticking up, which will hold between this one, which is the same one with 4 studs welded in. It's held onto the fly press with these bolts. So you put your disc in, position it as much as you can by eye. I suppose I could put some marks or stops, but I haven't. Slot the other one over the top. Whack on your nuts. And hopefully get that bolted down. Tighten it down fairly tight. You don't want it to slip, because if it slips it buckles. So it wants to be, that's why I've got that lip to really grip it. This is a bit of, I think it's about 2 1/4 inch pipe. That's all it is lightweight tube, nothing fancy. Let's measure it just to see. Let's have a look. Yeah, 2 1/4 inch tube. That's just welded to a stub that goes in the top of the fly press. And we give it a swing. Now I've set the stop on the top of the fly press so that all these go to the same depth. You have to be careful, because if you go too far they can split, but it does sort of stretch them a bit. And you see there, it's pushed it down nicely, and there's no buckling or wrinkling around the edge, which as I say can happen. That nice and flat, not quite in the centre, but good enough for what we're doing. Next job is to cut off some tube. It's very lightweight tube this. I suppose it's about 1.6mm tube, about inch diameter, maybe just under. This is for the actual candle holders that the candles will go in. Doing this bit next whilst we're still working on the fly press. Just quickly deburr them all. Handy little tool, that. Right, you've seen this, or some of you may have seen this little tool I've got in the fly press on my Instagram feed. I think I did a reel of just flaring the tops of some of these tubes, and that's what it does, just adds a little feature to the top of the tube. So next job, I found a load of actual bar shoes. These old, you can see how old they are. And they're proper bar shoes that you'd put on a horse, and they're obviously oval, so I want to make them round. So I'm just going to whip them in the fire, see if I can make them all round so that they fit onto the dishes. Now I've got 5 on the go, but I'm only going to actually do 2. As Ralph watches on in disgust, because it's become apparent that time is getting on and I'm not going to get all of them finished today. So I'm just going to knock out 2. Choose a hammer. Top up my coal. Actually went and bought a couple more bags of this yesterday, just in case it becomes scarce, but my supplier seems to have a great big pallet load of it, so, and it hasn't gone up, so I think we'll be alright for a while. So literally all I'm going to do, just run it round the beak, round it up. It was just a spot of luck that I saw these. I kept a great big pile of old shoes, or a lot of new shoes as well. There's a big pile in the corner of the workshop. I thought I'd be able to make things out of them and, you know, use them for this, that and the other. I was rooking through them the other day and I just came across these bar shoes. I thought, oh. Because normally what I do is I try and find, when I'm making these, I find a big horseshoe and turn it into a round shoe or into a bar shoe. But if I've already got some bar shoes, I might as well use them, because I ain't going to put them on the horses anymore. I'll just do the rest of them while I've got the fire alight. That's it, number 5. I've also found a load of these small shoes, which I'm going to use for the handles. This blasted camera will focus. Come on, you. I'll tell you what, this camera I think is getting old because it really struggles to focus these days. If anyone's got any recommendations for a new one, let me know. Right. These are nice little tiddly ones which I shall straighten out and use as a handle. So let's have a go at a couple of them. Right, first job, knock the clip in and then straighten them out. Not that easy straightening concave because it wants to twist all the time, but you can do it. And obviously there's a weakness where the clip was. I might have to weld that up, but we'll see. See how we get on. Basically just want to start with a straight bit of bar. I could get a new bit of concave, but I like the fact it's made out of old shoes. You get the nail holes in it and the wear. Just makes the whole thing look a bit nicer somehow. I'm just working on 2 at the moment. As I say, I'm running out of time. Just drawing the point, or the end out into a point on one end. And putting a little scrolly end. Trying to work out exactly what sort of size I want. Just enough so you can get your hand in, because if you make them too big or out of a too heavy a shoe, they can topple over, which is why you'll see in a minute that I'll put the scrolly bit of the handle touching the floor. So that's the sort of thing you want to end up with. And then we'll measure it up and cut that down. That's why I use little lightweight shoes for the handle, so it doesn't overbalance. It's going to go sort of on there somehow. I'll cut it and put it on the top there, but make sure it's short enough that the scrolly bit there touches the ground. It's just a slightly different view of the same job. Just pulling it round till you end up with something like that, but obviously it's going to be closed up a bit more. That's it, same sort of thing. Doesn't have to be exactly. I'm very flexible with when I make them. Right, so next job. Now we've got all the components. Line up the base with the shoe, and I'm lucky with this shoes. They're about the right size for these discs. Sometimes if the disc, I'm just going to tack it all the way around. If the disc is, or the shoe is too small, I'll have to cut the disc down to fit. But this is just about right. So I'm just going to put sort of ½ inch tack every 2 inches or so. That's all it needs, it doesn't need a lot. I'm just going to clean that up, run the grinder over it. Take off any sharp edges from the disc there from when I cut them. That's it. Come on camera, focus. Oh, it ain't having it today. There we go. Quite inconspicuous. So now we're going to measure up these handles. I want 1¼ inch to the floor from the top of the shoe. So that means it's going to come from the bottom of that scroll. 1¼ inch. That's about there. So mark that and whip them off. So that'll go on there. I usually put it on where the join is on the shoe, so it all ties in together. Make sure it's upright. it on the back. Sorted. You can see that just gives it a bit more stability, having that resting on the ground, because they can, as I say, tip over if you don't do it, and if the handle is too heavy. So I'm just going to quickly knock the second one up, knock the handle off, start again. Okay, so now we've just got to put the candle holder in. Before that, I'm just going to give it a quick wire brush, get the marks off from welding. It's just a bit easier if you do it before you put it completely together. Right, so I'm going to solder these in just with ordinary electrical solder, nothing fancy. I've got some baker's fluid there. I'm just going to dip the end of that in and make sure there's a film of it where I want it on the bottom. Position it in the centre, just by eye, never too fussy. And I've got this just ordinary, as I say, ordinary solder. I suppose it's flux cord probably, but it might not be, I don't know, the label came off years ago. Make a little coil of it. Drop it down in the middle there. Just got the old map gas, give it a little heat from underneath, and hopefully it'll solder. I don't want to discolour it too much, but obviously it will. Just so it's starting to run. Hasn't quite gone all the way around. Just do a little bit from above. That's it. You can't really see it from there, but that's run round there nicely. And it hasn't gone everywhere. Years ago I used to do these in a different way, and look at that, that's got that. Nice and solid. Yeah, I used to do them a different way and it used to get everywhere. You see, that's quite neat. It's literally just a bead around the bottom. So I'll try and get my wire brush in there. But before that, I'm just going to put my maker's mark on. I always forget to do this. I just remembered at the last minute. I would have normally done this before I welded the handles on. That's the final touch. So there you go. They look lovely with a plain white candle in, or a fancy coloured one. Put whatever you like in. My wife sometimes decorates them with holly and stuff, depending on the time of year. They're quite attractive and functional. So if you do have a power cut, you can use it. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.